Why are you still talking? This is over 2 hours now. Hello and welcome to episode number 109 of Unrelenting, March 22nd, 2024. We're a little bit late, Gene, but we are here.
Yeah, late for who? For what?
People thought we relented. We had to get Gene into a safe house. He had to make it to...
Gene was taking a test. Had to do a test today, so I was busy.
Oh, and you love taking tests, too.
I do. This was on the history of Jewish intelligence.
Interesting. If you don't pass, you get a double tap. There you go.
There's no such thing as Mossad. I don't know what you're talking about.
You have been interrogated. No, I mean, I was taking a test.
Mm-hmm.
No waterboarding involved.
I think I passed.
Can we make these types of jokes on X? I don't know.
Yeah, you could do anything on X. The only thing you can't talk about is, men acting like women, because that'll get you banned for sure.
Could we play the Steve Goodman song, There Are Men Who Love Women Who Love Men?
No, you're definitely going to get a strike for that.
No, that's too confusing. The No Agenda stream, we can do anything there, as long as Bemrose approves. Otherwise, he takes the stream down and says, no, we're
it's his stream, so,
He's streaming. He's an old guy. You know, the older you get, the more problems you have streaming. Or so they say.
Or is it just that your streams get longer?
Maybe. But I dig this X thing. And I just have to now go in and start creating a bunch of different scenes or whatever they call it in OBS, because that's where it is all created. So you can have the video aspect to go along with it. Then we can just upload it to YouTube as well, where everybody will be excited to be unrelenting.
Oh, that's going to last 2 episodes on YouTube.
They're like, what are these guys talking about?
Well, YouTube has really good, for various purposes, text to or speech to text or whatever.
Yes. So very quickly they understand what the show's about.
This is why when you watch videos on YouTube from gun guys, there's a lot of code words used, man.
Really?
And it's, there's a lot of words that YouTube will not let you put into a video.
What kind of code words what words have to be replaced, and what kind of things are they? Because this was always my concept when there
anything having to do with death.
So instead of saying
voluntary or otherwise.
So instead of death
by the same person or of other people,
it's like puppies. So then they will wind up puppies, and that means dead.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, I get it. Which was always why it never made sense for there to be those protected words that you can't say, because then
that does is create doublespeak.
Right. It just means you need to come up with another word to mean the same thing, which the Southerners have gotten that down. A lot of people don't know when somebody that's really Southern is like, oh, bless your heart. Doesn't mean they're really blessing your heart.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
So it's all very interesting is what you can say, what you can't say here on the interwebs.
There's a fat dude from Alabama that does a YouTube show, which is really good, where it's all about Southern related thing. I mean, I guess I shouldn't just say fat dude. He's a comedian. He's funny. But his humor is all around Southern language and lifestyle and everything else.
And his whole thing is, you'll bless your heart. I can't remember
the name of that, but
that's okay. I didn't remember to press the start button, but it's okay. I have backup recordings for the first couple minutes of the show.
Okay.
Highly trained.
Well, you have more buttons to press.
I know. Now when you're going live on multiple things, this is where you need the one simple interface, which is why these companies that have it are able to charge you your $20 or $30 a month, where it's like, well, you could be live on X, you could be live on Facebook, you could be live on Instagram.
And it records everything too. It's amazing.
You could be live on everything.
For like I think Restream is the big one, the big dog in that space. But they'll record it, they'll stream it to everybody at the same time. And I think it's $25 a month, something like that.
I Fletchered it, as they say, but I have a backup recording, so nobody would have known.
Mm-hmm.
Except...
Not that people listen anyway.
No. Well, that's why I was intrigued, though, the other day when we went live on X with the Grumpy Old Ben, the show I do on Wednesday.
Right.
And we had more people hit the show than we did on the stream. But when you look at the analytics, then you realize it's only for brief amounts of time because Twitter,
right.
Although they have just changed this according to our buddy Greg Speed, or they're about to allow people to listen to these broadcasts in a minimized sense while they still go and look through their timeline.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Sorry to interrupt you, but I fully agree with that. As one of the big annoyances, especially in the web browser, less so on the app, but more so on the web browser. If you click on watching or listening to something, you can't keep reading messages.
Right,
like as soon as you move on to the next message, it stops. So they need to be able to pop that out and keep going.
And it seems that's what they're doing, which would be quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing is not to, I don't think, have people engaged and listen to a 2-hour show on X, but it's a great way, since everybody that's following you gets this person is live. I think it helps a lot to at least get shows noticed.
X can start taking some of the podcast usage away if they wanted to. If they were smart, what they would do is basically create a podcast-like interface for any past media released by people that you follow. And then it would just have little channels in there. So I go to Darren O'Neill. Oh, look at that. There's the last 12 episodes of Unrelenting. Here's the last 5 episodes of Grumpy Old Ben's. Or whatever.
Right. And if you could create those it's kind of like YouTube, where you can have separate playlists for different things.
Right. Well, you'd probably have to have a business account for that, I would imagine.
Which would
everything does cost money. So.
Right. But it would be well worth it, I think. Because right off the bat, for the $8 a month to be able to stream the audio.
And it could be monetized right on there so you can avoid credit cards.
Yeah. They always want your money, though.
Or sats or whatever.
You got to get your Satoshis. I looked the other day and I was like, damn, that's a lot of Satoshis. Because I had really all of except for very, very early on. And this was a very, very small amount that I used through the one other app. I forget what it was even called. One of the early apps that you could stream the Satoshis on. That was probably, next to nothing. I would be surprised if it was more than $10 in Satoshis that I had flow through that before we got to the Get Alby and Podverse. And when I went and looked the other day, because I couldn't figure out, I was trying to boost my buddy Fletcher, and it wouldn't do it. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I changed my app password. I had to reset it. So I had to go in and unconnect it and reconnect it. It's a pain in the ass because you're got browsers and all these other things interacting.
Sure.
And I realized it shows you a grand total from Get Alby, what you have sent out, in this case to Podverse, which was anything that I had sent some Satoshis over to the Podcasting 2.0 guys, Adam and Dave.
Yeah, I've heard them.
Have sent some stuff over to that 2-hour folk hour, have sent stuff over to Fun Fact Friday, to Rare Encounter. There was a bunch of shows I boosted, and it was well over 1 million sats. And I'm like, wow, that's real freaking money.
Shit.
I know.
That is real money, because what is it? 10 million sats is a Bitcoin or something?
It's more, I think more than that, but it's still, it is not.
Let's find out. AI, how many sats is a Bitcoin?
Don't you have a talking tube that'll tell you that?
I do, but I don't have the talking tube plugged into my microphone, so you wouldn't hear it.
Right now, 1 million sats.
It's 100 million.
Yeah.
It's 100 billion. That's what it is.
Right. 1 million right now is $635. Now, of course, at the price that a lot of that went out as was about a quarter of that. So it makes it a little less, but it's like, if you would have just saved all of those sats.
Like you.
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't. I mean, I looked also at the millions that went to the gift cards and everything else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like, you always think Bitcoin's just going to crash.
At some point.
Take it out.
At $1 million.
Yeah. At $1 million.
Crash up to $1 million. Yeah.
If it makes it up to $1 million, we're all okay.
Mm.
Of course, that'll mean it's $1 million to buy a bottle of water at the grocery store.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, well, there's two ways for Bitcoin to be worth $1 million. And one of them doesn't involve the Bitcoin going up at all.
Right. It's the other.
It's just called inflation of the US dollar.
Uh-huh. And I liked it once I realized you could use the little siren emojis in the title of your things on X. So now it's like Unrelenting Live with the little sirens on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And we got 23 people that have already checked on that stream, which is interesting. We thank them. Now 28, tell a friend, repost it. Tell everybody that we're here. That's all. We're like, we're here. We have nothing else to say except we're here, though.
Yeah. Well, we are here slightly later, but we're here enough.
And everybody's like,
I feel warm, man. I just had some mac and cheese for lunch that I have to make in a hurry in about 15 minutes.
There's your carbo load.
Oh yeah, it's nothing but carbs basically, but it was pretty good. It was mac and cheese and white cheddar with burnt ends.
Ooh, so you got some of your brisket in there too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now people are always surprised. We're like, dude, you're an asshole. This morning,
who's an asshole?
Me. Not you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. People aren't surprised. Nobody thinks I'm an asshole.
Oh no, nobody at all. The troll room's already like, come on. But the wife having a bout of diverticulitis. Went in to see the doctor yesterday, and they told her a clear liquid diet for 2 days. So this morning,
okay, so a fast.
Yes, it is. You can have water, you can have Jello, you can have a broth, bone broth, so you could at least get some protein, but nothing solid whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up this morning. I mean, I could have waited until she was gone, once she leaves for work. But I'm like, I have 3 slices of Texas toast left. I could make some really good French toast. Couple of slices of bacon. And something I never do, which is put whipped cream on the French toast. I'm like, oh shit, I got whipped cream. So I was that asshole, which was like, oh, can't eat anything.
Wow.
I know.
Uh-huh.
It's like, that's
it's the one day Darren decides to cook good, tasty food. Okay.
Right. To go crazy.
Sorry, honey.
Otherwise, it's just, like I make omelets with regularity, nice scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Usually not bacon. And we had gone off the bacon for over a year. And it's like that.
Damn.
I know. Well,
bacon's good for you.
I mean, it's the fat in the bacon, of course, no good for you. But
it's totally good for you. What are you talking about?
It depends what you're trying to do. Because the last
Cook
time
with it. It's way better for cooking than seed oils.
Oh yeah, of course. But the last time,
that's what when I make bacon. Sorry, I interrupt you again.
No, you're not. You're not sorry at all.
I actually am. I'm going to keep doing it, but I'm sorry. But when I cook bacon, I do it in the deep fryer of the brand you told me to buy.
Yeah, the Kasori's nice stuff.
Yeah, and the one that I've got's got nice little basket thing that kind of holds up the bacon up higher and lets all the fat drip down as it's cooking. And then what I'll do is I'll collect the fat from that and then store it. And, as long as you don't give oxygen, you don't have the fat get oxidized. So basically put a cover in it. That's all it means.
Right. Do you have to refrigerate that or just cover?
Nope. Do not have to refrigerate. You keep it out in the open. Just has to not be in contact with oxygen. Luckily, my house doesn't have any, so we're in good shape there.
You just keep pumping that
it's all
CO2.
Pure CO2. Exactly.
That is
Snake and I like that. Thank you very much. And
you have to strain it, I'm assuming, because you get otherwise little bits. Do you like put that through?
No, dude, it's amazing. There are no bits of anything in there. When I cook my bacon, and maybe it's the type of bacon, I always buy the thick slice bacon.
Yeah, I love the super thick stuff.
The fat just like melts, and then the pieces don't crumble. They don't break off. They stay together. I feel like the super thin bacon would definitely have a lot of bits you'd have to strain, but this stuff you don't have to strain at all.
Yeah, the thicker the bacon is cut, the better.
Mm-hmm. And you get a nice white kind of consistency. I'd say it's soft, right? It's not like hard fat, so it's probably the consistency of like cold whipped cream. So not warm whipped cream, but like cold whipped cream. So you can, very easily mush it around with your finger. But you can also use a spoon to pick up more than the volume of the spoon, because it'll, keep somewhat clumped together on top.
It's a heaping spoonful.
A heaping spoon, exactly, of bacon fat. And then I use that to cook other things on, which the great thing about bacon fat is it's fairly high temperature. It's not super high, but it's fairly high temperature. So you're not going to smoke and burn it. It has a very light flavor. It doesn't completely have a overwhelming flavor, but you do taste just a little bit of that nice smoky bacon. And it stays on the counter without needing refrigeration, which is great. So go on with your story.
I was just going to say that
I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. Go ahead.
Of course, no, not at all. The last time I lost weight, it was eating the bacon every day.
Oh, that reminds me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
No, it does. Go ahead. What does it remind you of?
I'm interrupting you.
Right. But it works. I mean, goes along with the keto thing, because a lot of people are like, the keto, it's the oddest diet. And I don't know, there's a lot of people who don't think it's healthy at all. There's doctors that have recommended it to me. Some like don't ever do that.
It's totally healthy. Any doctor that doesn't understand keto is an idiot.
In moderation with anything, I don't know if you'd want to live that way forever.
We are designed to be that way. The whole reason that we can go into ketogenics is because our bodies are made to eat occasionally. This is why fasting is becoming more popular as well.
Did you notice the attack on that, though?
Yeah, of course, because the food industry is paying doctors to attack it.
They're like, no, you're gonna have more heart attacks. You're gonna have more strokes.
Such bullshit. That's total bullshit. There's no scientific evidence of that whatsoever.
Have you noticed the weed and the fasting are causing the same things in people?
Yeah, it's amazing. A drug that makes you relax and food that is devoid of toxic sugar, both of those will cause heart attacks. What a load of bullshit. We don't provide medical advice on this show, so don't take any, but that is utter total bullshit. And one of the good signs of something is bullshit, you can look for this, is when they talk about studies and then you look at the study and then you realize, or it says right in there, that it's a meta study. And a meta study is basically usually a grad student looking through, reading 5, 6, 7, 8 different studies, and then coming to their own conclusion about something, which the studies may well not have even measured for, and therefore may have effects within the studies that would prevent those conclusions from being drawn. But since it's a meta study and it's looking at the results of a bunch of different studies,
right,
it's all kind of glossed over.
And we're going to get
anytime
more.
You see a meta study, just take it with a very large grain of salt about the size of a Buick.
And we're going to get more and more of that now that we have the large language
and you
models.
Can have AI crank them out for you even.
Exactly. That's it. Now you can just put all this stuff in and be like, what do you take away from this data? And now we got dueling troll rooms, which is great. Now we have CSB in the one on X because he won't go in to the other troll room.
And, he's a wise man. I've always said CSB is a very wise man.
Well, now there's a nice. So Chris Clark in the morning. It's interesting. I mean, I'm digging it. And the one thing I don't like on X so far, because I couldn't figure out the difference. There's 2 different things that always pop up. And that's one are the video broadcasts like we're doing here, even though it's audio only, there's a video slide there and we can do video. And that's what like Scott Adams and other people do. And then there were the thing called spaces. And it's like, well, there's multiple people talking and interacting. It's like, you can't start a space from the web yet. Like, why?
Really?
No.
I haven't tried. But yeah, so
Only
the problem
from
with
your
there's many problems with spaces. So one, okay, but you've got a phone. You could use your phone for that.
I could.
And then just, yeah.
But then you have to get something to interface your microphone into it, because I don't know otherwise if I can then.
No, you can join. I'm pretty sure you can join one on your computer.
I know you can join to listen.
So you just start it on your phone. Oh, I think you can. I'll try it. I think you can. I'll try it. But it's the sound quality though is atrocious. If you listen to them, and it's not just because they're using phones, it's because that was an acquisition for Twitter, of a company that created that, and they were using crappy codecs from what I could tell.
Well, was this the
codecs that would work very well for your phone? Was
this the Clubhouse or whatever that was?
It was a knockoff of Clubhouse. Yeah, it was a total 1-to-1 knockoff of Clubhouse. Yep.
Oh, but everybody could talk to each other. And I'm like, wait, you could have 12 people talking at the same time? That does not work.
We could literally do this with Zoom right now by you and I being in the Zoom main channel, and then people being able to move into focus rooms.
Yes.
It's done in businesses all the time. It's not a new thing at all. But why would you want to talk voice when you're trying to listen to somebody else doing a show? That makes no sense to me.
No, I get it for doing kind of a talk radio format. There is still a need to be able to get people into the recording easily and then out of the recording easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, there aren't great solutions for that, because I think that would be an interesting concept. I've talked about that with my buddy Larry, and this show I think would also work well if we could take easily callers besides just getting a Google Voice number, because the Google Voice audio quality also sucks.
Even worse. Google Voice hadn't been updated since it was first put out there 20 years ago,
when it was supposed to sound like the old POTS phone that was on your wall.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, phones were on the wall? I don't get it.
There was an episode of something I recently watched. Oh, no, it was a video game I was playing.
Really, it's getting harder to tell the difference between video games and entertainment.
It really is. I mean, and visually, Cyberpunk looks like fucking video. And the only, people will know I've been playing this because I've been posting images from the game that are very dystopian on X. But in there's one instance, storyline, mission, whatever, where one of the characters finds an old wall phone, and by old I mean modern in our times, but this is 77.
Was it push button or was it a dial rotary?
It was a push button.
Oh, so that's new.
And she picked up the headset, and she's not sure what to do with it. It's just kind of holding it up like how you would hold a cell phone in your hand. And then the other character, which is Johnny Silverhand, who's played by what's his face, the Matrix guy,
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, by Reeves. He's correcting her. No, you put this next to your ear so you can listen. So we're drifting away from the era of people even knowing how to use a phone in the sense that you put it next to your head, because a lot of people currently, a lot of people 20 and under, let's say for sure, they've never actually held a cell phone up to their ear.
No, they hold it like a piece of pizza and they put it in front of their mouth.
Yeah, they hold it like a piece of pizza in front of their mouth. They talk on the speakerphone, or they use the Bluetooth earbuds. The idea of actually putting a screen next to your head and having it get messy and greasy from the gel in your hair makes no fucking sense to anybody that's younger.
Well,
and
not
they have
to
a good
mention
point.
The radiation they put out. It's a lot better than they used to be, I'll tell you that. But
it's 5G,
still enough. Things could happen.
It's probably worse.
Cancer, not saying it causes it, but it might.
No, not saying it causes it. And speaking of studies, there's a study that I retweeted, re-exified the other day that was done on looking at cancer rates in people that took the mRNA vaccines, and things are not looking good.
Going up, are they?
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of these things. Cancer usually is a very slow moving disease. I mean, there are some that are very aggressive, some forms, but for a lot of it, if you're not getting screened, you're not going to know until you're stage 3, stage 4. And even then, some people never get symptoms.
No.
I mean, you'll die. There'll be that.
Yeah, it could happen. Hey, cancer is really a group of diseases. It's a whole category of stuff that has to do with a malfunctioning DNA replication mechanism.
Well, now we could rewrite your DNA.
Yeah. And when you have medical treatment, some would call bioweapon, that rewrites your DNA, it's shouldn't really be surprising that may result in a higher percentage of DNA errors that ultimately could lead to cancer.
Would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way that this mRNA and I can't talk. This mRNA treatment was sold was as it's just like a vaccine. Let's just call it a vaccine, even though it's not really a vaccine. Because the difference being, for 100 years, the definition of vaccine was an injection of viral particles into the body that allows the body's own immune system to analyze those particles and then create appropriate antibodies. And then if you encounter a full-blown strain of that virus, your body already has the formula for the antibodies to fight it. Otherwise, there's no reason to take a vaccine in general. So what the vaccine does is it teaches your body full-on blown disease on how to fight the disease. Makes sense. What mRNA does is completely not that. What we got in this version of mRNA vaccines was essentially, hey, we can trick the body's own cells into manufacturing a protein by encoding those instructions in mRNA, which we're now fully capable of doing. And then effectively, and it's a great idea on paper, we can get the body to manufacture the viral particles inside the body that it can then use to learn how to fight against those particles using its own immune system. And nobody really thought about the idea of like, well, wait a minute, if your body is creating the viral particles that it's supposed to use to train on, couldn't that create some problems for the body? Because now you're using it for both learning and creating. And, I think maybe with 50 years of research, and not on humans, but on, other animals that we don't like to talk about are used in medicine.
Well, no, that's
maybe
cruel,
after 50
right?
years, we can come up, what?
It's cruel to use those other animals.
Well, you don't really think monkeys have a soul or anything, do you?
Do you think humans do?
Probably not.
See, there's the problem.
So, well, that was my sneaky way of saying humans don't either.
Right.
You realize that we are monkeys, but I think maybe someday this could work. But once you get to that point, it's just as likely that we'd be able to simply skip the step of using the body to learn how to fight a virus and just simply give the body the complete instructions for creating the antibodies, the antiviral antibodies immediately, like bypassing the whole training exercise. Because by definition, what used to be the definition, that's what we've been doing with vaccines. Vaccines were about training the body to create antibodies.
Well, if I learned anything from hell, what show was it? Gunsmoke, one of those old Rawhide, one of those. Maybe it was Rawhide. The vaccines, they had an episode on smallpox, right? And it's like, well, you take a little bit of the pus coming off. This is so great. We're labeled as a comedy show. People may
I know.
they may not agree, but it's like, great, we'll take some of the pus out of the sick cow, and then we'll cut your kid's arm, and we'll put a little bit of the pus in there, and that's going to keep them
dip
safe.
It in there.
And that's how far back we go with the concepts of this. The one thing about the mRNA that I don't understand is we were originally told, and I have not gotten any evidence that explains how it's any different, but we were originally told that the spike protein that is part of this particular thing is pretty much the same thing that the common cold has.
The common cold, yes, it has the outside envelope, if you will, of and the common cold is obviously also a group of viruses.
Yes, they're all coronaviruses.
Well, they're rhinoviruses, but the outside has that spiked protein, sort of. If you think of it as an apple, the spike protein is the peel. It's the thing that protects the delicate internal virus itself from being damaged.
So what happened from it's kind of just the wrapping, which isn't the dangerous part. How did we get to, well, oh no, it's creating the spike protein, which is killing people? Because it jumped into that direction, and I still don't understand if it is.
I think the reason for that, I think, is because we're trying to do two things at once, which is it'd be one thing if the vaccine was a synthetically created in the lab without using cow pus version of the that protein. It's like it was if it was a mathematically built protein that is based on a copy of what the SARS-CoV-19 would have, and then ship that out, and inside of the envelope, if it was just empty, right? So because the actual viral instructions, the contents is inside. So what we're coding for, what we're trying to do is introduce what the outside looks like into people so they know how to respond to the outside when they see it with their antibodies. And
ignore it so their body doesn't absorb it and all of this.
And basically say, this is crap, let's kill it. And a lot of times the way, it's kind of cool, if you watch in the microscope, the way that white blood cells deal with these viruses, because they're still particles, they're tiny, but they're still particles, is they will literally wrap themselves fully around it like snot, preventing it from attaching to anything. And then eventually it just gets flushed out, through your kidneys and stuff, and it goes out your body. Or, out of your nose.
It comes out one way or the other.
The point is, it can't stick to anything. So that's one of the ways, that's the only way, it's one of the ways that our antibodies work is by encapsulating these viral little pods. And the idea sounds good. Here's, I think, the mistake that was made is somebody came up with this brilliant idea that, hey, we can save money because instead of artificially manufacturing all this and having to then ship 300 million units or whatever of this artificially manufactured, hollowed out, empty shell of spike proteins. The human body basically is just a computer. It'll read code. We know how to make the code. It's called mRNA. We know exactly how that works. We've watched YouTube videos that explain it all. And it's really easy for us to use mRNA and just tell the body itself to build this little hollow shell with nothing inside of it. And then it'll train itself on something that it itself built because we're smart. That's where I think the problem lies, is the idea of using mRNA to create a virus should have never happened.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, start on something simple. How about we make mRNA that, like, let's say, kills fat cells or something.
Right.
Something that's useful but not life-threatening.
But why was this? Because obviously there were non-mRNA vaccines, but that seemed to be in the minority. Why did they rush to use the technology?
I think Johnson & Johnson was the only one that did it the old way.
But why? That's what didn't make any sense.
I think it's cost. First and foremost, it's cost. Secondly, it's being first to the bunch. It's showing this new technology and demonstrating how cool and awesome we are. We've fully now have mapped out the human body. We can literally tweak it like computer code. We are gods.
We will live forever.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you're probably going to need to transfer your matrix out of your initial body to a new one, but yeah.
Once we can figure out how to insert the SD card.
You know that, I mean, for the people that typically are no agenda listeners, so how many of them are listening to this? If you're a developer, you all know either in yourself or somebody else when you went to school and you first learned I don't want to say your first program, but your first major program that you did in college as part of your computer science classes. And then it worked. And it wasn't you looking up, because there's plenty of people that do this all the time. Just look up code online and then copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. The copy pasta happens quite a bit. But if you had to, like, maybe for a test, for an exam, or maybe your final, or maybe a research or a grad project, so you had to write a piece of code from scratch that did something that you couldn't just type into Google and find the equivalent example of. It had to be unique. First time you do that, it is an amazing feeling. You're just like bathing in endorphins. Like, I am hot shit.
I created this.
I created something, or, it's a feeling that you often repeat when your products are released. Or if you don't release, like a lot of stuff that I haven't been programming professionally for like 25 years, but non-professionally, I've been writing game mods and things like that. And when you occasionally look over, you're like, oh, there's 10,000 people that have downloaded and installed my thing that I wrote for myself.
And you stole all 10,000 of their spaceships because there was a back door in there.
Yeah, exactly. Always leave a back door, kids. Remember, it's the first rule of programming. Always have a back door. And then the second rule is always take a fraction of a penny for yourself.
Exactly. It's the office.
You can never get
rule.
in trouble that way.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody will notice at all.
No one's ever going to notice as the account fills up to millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened for the biological developers out there, for the guys that decided to use CRISPR. It's like, oh, we do use CRISPR all the time. We can create anything. We can create our own viruses. We can create our own antibodies. We can create anything by basically just supplying instructions, which we figured out. We've reverse engineered DNA instructions so we can tell the cell itself to build virtually anything. And this is, by the way, how we're going to end up with having farm grown or genetically grown meats and fats and proteins and everything else. It's something that has never been an animal, has never been a plant. It's just producing a particular type of food for us.
Right. Well, yeah, your burgers will be like, oh, this is great meat that was grown in a test tube. It's
not
weird.
A test tube, but yeah.
Yeah, the concept is still very weird.
And in Cyberpunk 2077, which this video is totally not sponsored by, there is or audio. All the meat there is fake meat. Like, nobody can afford to actually kill a cow to eat it. That's crazy expensive.
Soon we'll just have the Star Trek replicator.
Yeah, well, that we could have today if we switch to nuclear power. The problem is nobody wants to go nuclear.
Because they're afraid.
Those things take a massive amount of power. This is the beauty of it, is if you use DNA, if you use CRISPR, you can create this shit for way less energy than using a replicator.
Well, this is the future of medicine, which will be the generic, not generically made, but rather than having just a painkiller that you give everybody, they'll look at your DNA and you will have things formulated specifically for you.
Yeah, you know how I talked about how I'm very insensitive to THC?
Yes, you can smoke all the weed in the world and you still
not feel a goddamn thing. Yeah. Exactly. And
that is like a superpower if you want to go like take advantage of stoners.
I guess. I don't know. I've never thought of it that way. But imagine if you could have that be a essentially, a pill. It's something that is, or you get a shot and all of a sudden your body just does not use THC anymore. It doesn't absorb it.
Or alcohol
or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's like if you are an alcoholic, if you could get a shot that makes your body incapable of giving you the type of reaction that you've come to expect from alcohol, like you can't get drunk from it anymore.
Right.
Because it's not interacting. None of your brain bits are affected by alcohol anymore. That would both kill the alcohol production industry, so they'd be opposed to it, and also completely wiped out addiction to anything.
But this is exactly what these drugs are doing, like the Ozempics, right? To keep people from eating. Oh, I went 48 hours and I wasn't even hungry.
Yeah, I think it's a little bullshitty. I will say that because, I take this stuff and I'm not losing weight. So just look at me.
You're like, I can out-eat the Ozempic. You watch me.
You have to get in the frame of mind where you're eating for visual pleasure instead of hunger. And then you can still keep all the weight on that you want. That's the trick, guys. And I can tell you that from firsthand experience. It's not about being hungry. It's about looking at food as something pleasurable to look at in your mouth.
Well, and it is such a social thing. Although I think that is one of the things that is very quickly going away as restaurant prices rise for a vast majority of people. Now, when you got gene money, you're still going out to eat.
Well, first of all, gene money is very little money, so I wouldn't want to impose on people going out to eat with gene money. But I did go out to Fogo de Chao yesterday with a buddy of mine, and it's like $120 lunch
easily.
Yeah,
that was just a game of good. Who's going to be the last one to reach for the check, or is it the?
It's funny because he went to the bathroom just as the check arrived.
That's a rookie move.
I'm like, you fucking Jew. You're not the only one at this table of that religion.
That is a rookie
and so
move
he comes back, and I'm like, oh, you got cash, right? And he's like,
can you spot me?
Perfect.
I thought you get this one, Gene. I'll get the next one.
So no, it's better than that because I had him pay me in cash, then I can get the full points.
Oh, you got the miles, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody still use them for miles?
No, I just trade them in for cash right away.
You got the Apple cards. You get 3% towards your next Apple purchase. You got.
I don't have the Apple one. They wouldn't accept me. I'm like, liberal enough for them. Oh yeah, they do a full background check before you get the Apple card.
Damn.
Oh yeah.
I got the Amazon
and
one.
if you've posted something against Ukraine, you're not getting the Apple card.
No Apple card for you. Damn it.
No Apple card for me. No, but it's the same kind of deal, just through a different bank where I get money back.
Yeah, that's why I like the Amex Blue that we use only for groceries because they do 3% back on groceries, and it's cash.
I need to look at HEB's card. I think they keep advertising it. I think they do like 4% back for groceries on their own credit card.
And I can tell you right now that percentage makes a difference.
Oh, hell yeah. No, I routinely trade in like $100 in cash back on the card.
Like that's what you need to do. Make sure you use it. It was horrible back in the day when it was like, oh, you can only use it for travel, or oh, you can only use it by ordering from our list of very good magazines. It was never
horrible because I remember you could always get like gift cards, and I from my business card that I had for traveling, that everything on that card was fully reimbursed. So it wasn't like I was spending my own money.
That's even better when somebody else is paying the bill. Come on, Gene, send me a credit card. I'll only use it for emergencies. I promise.
And then every month, I would get a $100 gift card for my then wife to use to do whatever. And she got so used to it that I remember when one month I wasn't traveling much, she was like, "Hey, where did you forgot to give me my gift card?"
I got to go get my Brazilian.
I'm waiting till next year because that's not. How do you know she got those?
Just like the cameras.
Just good guess.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Turn the cameras off. He's catching on.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you would have had to have the cameras on back 15, 18 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, they weren't high def back then.
No, sadly they were not. But yeah, it was very convenient because essentially I got to give her something without spending any of my own money. And I got to have all my bills paid for by clients, so I didn't have to spend any money, or I didn't have to shell out any money myself. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it is a beautiful thing. The points are nice. Mm-hmm. Make sure you are optimizing them. There's nothing worse, because when the wife was driving 45 minutes each day back and forth to work, was putting a lot of gas in the car. Again, huge difference between the card that everything's 1% to the ones that'll give you 2% on gas. It's like that's
right.
You can really add up quick. And now I'm kind of looking at it as, well, if I am going to get a new machine, because this one's 3 years old, like, well, how do I want to pay for this? Because I'd like the tax deduction. Now, I don't know if you can get a tax deduction if you pay for that with gift cards. I don't know if that makes a difference. Probably not, because you can still show you purchased it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not tax advice. This is not legal advice.
No.
That's not what the show does.
Tax advice, legal advice, medical advice, or advertising. So in that vein, would you like to read the boostergram, or do you want me to read it?
Oh, if you'd like to read it. I mean, I just saw that pop up. Our buddy CSB, he wants you to get into some good cyberpunk, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Dive into the future with Cyberpunk 2077. In a world of cyber-enhanced street warriors, tech-savvy net runners, and corporate life hackers, every choice shapes the story around you. Explore the vast open-world city of Night City, where the only limits are those you set for yourself. Get it all at www.csb. No, I'm just kidding. www.cyberpunk.net. Yo, says CSB.
Now, is he just doing commercials for random games now, or does he know who does this?
He is doing ads for games now, which is hilarious. But it's a good game. I think that they had a very rocky start when it came out about 3 years ago. It was honestly released before it was done, and a lot of people lambasted it back at the time. And in the last 3 years, they've done a great job of first getting it fully polished and bug-free, and then more recently, last October, releasing the first DLC for it, which adds a huge amount of new content to the game. It's almost doubles the size of the game, and polishes things even further. So, at this point, having been out for 3 years, it still requires top-end computing power to really see all the beauty in it. And it is a gorgeous game. It's like 95% of the way to full film graphics. So it almost doesn't look like a game. It looks more like you're watching a video.
It's wild. That is 5,000 sats from CSB. That's $3.20 right now. And if you don't know what that's all about, streaming Satoshis, sending a boostergram, go to newpodcastapps.com. Our buddy No Beret, he sent in $5 the old-fashioned way. He says,
so that's more than 5,000 sets.
Yeah. He says, super shouty voice, please. Hey, everybody, check out planetrage.show most Mondays with the greatest duo on the No Agenda stream. Throw it down, baby. And after, check out no_beret on x.com for pointy chicks and Mopar muscle. Yeah.
He's on right after that.
No_beret. That's his name on X.
Yeah.
But he was doing a CSB and he's promoting Planet Rage.
I was going to say he is. No Beret, are you streaming on X? And if not, why not? And if you need help with that, let us know. We can walk you through it.
And now we both know how to do it. The biggest pain in the ass was oh, geez, I need OBS again to do something. And I've figured out with one that I was totally misusing a lot of the stuff on the Motu because there's only 3 total groups I think you can do. And I was using
by default,
for things that I didn't know. I don't know if can you add more groups to it. If there is, I didn't see a way to do it. Although in the interface, I may have missed that. But what I did there then is take, because I was already had it set up to do a mix minus. So it was nice and easy to take channel for my mic, channel for your mic, channel for the music, send them all through there, put them through a basic leveler, then send them to OBS. And once it hit OBS, I did another light compression. So I think that all added up means in the end result, nothing should be at a...
It should also sound a lot more like FM radio.
Yeah. A lot of compression, baby.
Like tons of compression.
Because the worst thing in the world, though, is when one thing's really low and then one's high. It's like
and I've heard that twice now on 2 episodes where even with the leveler, Ben was just way too fucking quiet.
You're like, you got to jack that up.
Like you got to, well, and I had him boosted like 12 decibels, dude. It's not on my end; it was on his end. So finally, he reinstalled the firmware in the Motu, I think.
You're like, you got to jack them dog biscuits up. And it's interesting. The one thing I didn't realize at first when you're setting up an OBS is the audio changes. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but everything they call a scene, the audio is changing. So you could do a thing where I could just be like, oh, Gene solo. And that way it would totally cut my microphone off. And you know, for that brief period of time, you wouldn't be able to hear that. I don't know if I would ever have a reason to do that, but it was like, oh crap, I didn't realize that. If you're going to
go off and do a, bathroom break for a few minutes while the other person's talking, it's a good way of making sure your mic
muted.
Isn't going to pick up the flushing sound.
So now, I mean, I have one for all the different podcasts would just have a static image for, the throw out to YouTube or to X or wherever. But then we can just create new scenes if we want to then bring that into video, with the 2 little heads.
Scenes, I've been using them. I actually use OBS for my Zoom meetings for business stuff.
So people are like, how do you do all this fancy stuff?
I know, right? They're like, it's magic. Haha. I'm not going to tell you.
It's a business advantage.
Oh, look, I've got a white background, just like Steve Jobs. Oh, look, I've got a black background here. Oh, no. Now I'm standing in a meeting room and there's people walking around behind me. Yeah, I like video backgrounds. They look way better than static backgrounds.
Well, yeah, they will fool people into thinking.
Yeah, they would totally fool people.
I mean,
I was on a call with a bunch of people and I had my background, my actual moving background, which is a view out the window in Cyberpunk. So there's like cars flying by and smokestacks spewing smoke and, ads for all kinds of things. And at some point somebody says, man, you got a great condo there. It's like, I love the view from your back window. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks. Yeah. It's, cost me 10,000 eddies.
I would have it set up to look like a realistic room, and then I would just have something insane fly by on the outside, like a pterodactyl or something, just quick enough that if people just caught it out of the corner of their eye, they'd be like, what?
Whoa, what's that?
Where the hell is he?
Yeah.
That'd be a great idea. I still hate doing video, though.
Video, I'll tell you what, video is a lot more fun to do if you're not on camera.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And this is where I think if we get to the point where you and I do video, it'll probably be using these little AI 3D model doodads, cartoon characters, whatever you want to call them.
So like the OnlyFans girls do.
Literally. I mean, let's be honest, folks. If you're going to want to look at video while we're talking, would you rather not be looking at some hot, buxom babes?
So we can just run totally unrelated videos in the...
I mean, yeah.
That's like
a lot of people do that.
Oh, yeah, when they do... I'm a gamer. I'm showing you the game background.
Oh, yeah. I got a game for you right here.
Hey there.
There's a and I've sent you a few of these, like, professional YouTuber, Twitch people that do the cartoon stuff. It's a lot of fucking work, like, to do it well.
Yes.
First of all, it's not a cheap investment because your 3D, what do they call them? It's not animatronic. It's the opposite of animatronic.
Avatar.
Yeah, it's basically you put on a scuba suit, is what it looks like, that is measuring all your movements in real time and then encoding them as movements of your avatar in the software. And these suits are about $12,000. The head unit that's tracking your eyes and lips and movements on your face, that could be done by a phone on the cheap side, so $1,000, or it's a dedicated camera unit doing that. That's even more expensive, and it sticks out in front of your face, so you're basically looking at a screen with a camera stuck in front of you, looking at you.
That's weird.
It's not pleasant. The end results look great, but as far as the person that's behind the camera, I don't think it's particularly fun. So what we would probably do is just have a couple of avatars that maybe are using a camera to move their lips when we talk.
Well, a lot of those just go based upon the audio that it's being fed, I think.
I mean, they can, but it depends. If you're doing it live, they usually use a camera to look at you. If you are playing back audio, they can be used to fake, but that looks way worse.
The goal is usually to do the Tim Pool thing and have your little part of the screen be like 1/20th or 1/30th of the screen. Just little.
Yeah, exactly. If it's tiny, and then you don't notice most things. Yeah. But we've tried video in the past, right? Like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I recall something about that.
Over a year ago. Yeah, no, over a year and a half ago. I think we tried it back in December of 2022.
And it's a pain in the ass because I'm always looking to the left or looking to the right.
Yeah, and you're like, you're blind, so you're basically moving your head around trying to read things.
Yeah, trying to see what the hell's on the screen. Which is why I don't need really good monitors anymore. Just make everything bigger.
But you need a bigger monitor, exactly. So I don't think the video should be of necessarily us, but having something, at least video, really. This is why when I was doing it, all I did was put the UV meters up. So at least people see the UV meters moving.
And we can do that as well with the, put the logo there. And I'm sure we can have something come up that would recreate something like that. So it wasn't just right out of. Or
just do some little messaging that just keeps flashing in like 1/60th of a second. Send us money. Send us sats.
Send us money now. Send us money.
Just over and over and over. So while you're listening, we don't mention things, but you're like, man, how do I send these guys money?
We'd really like to do that. You could just add things.
So how would somebody send this money? Do we have a PayPal for that or anything?
Yeah, unrelenting.show is where you want to go. Click that donate button, or you go into a podcasting 2.0 app and just search for Unrelenting.
Yeah.
Support the damn show. Otherwise, it might disappear. It won't be here next week, which of course is a Good Friday, so we may not be here next week anyway. The wife's off, so.
What does that mean?
Good holiday. So we can do it maybe Thursday.
I know, but we've done a Christmas show. I mean, I don't see why we take Good Friday off.
Christmas Day. No, have we done a Christmas show? I don't recall that.
Christmas. No, we did Christmas Eve.
Around. There was one of those.
Christmas Eve day.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve morning.
Christmas Eve in the morning.
Yeah. You got nothing better to do. Whatever.
I got nothing better to do. I need to get it one day.
I'm going to go this weekend to, I guess, tomorrow now. Shit. Going to go to a gun show in Houston.
How many are you buying? How many are you selling? What do you got going on?
None and maybe one.
Ooh.
I wouldn't mind selling one of my guns because it's kind of don't really need it.
Well, that's because you have 4,000 others.
I know. Not really looking to buy anything. I'm more curious to.
You're bi-curious? Is that what you're saying?
Interesting. I'm more curious. I said not bi-curious. But interesting to see what's new, if anyone's got anything interesting and new to show. But yeah, I mean, there are guys out there that only buy guns at gun shows because they don't want any of that pesky paperwork. I really don't care about the paperwork.
No, you're on a list.
I'm on so many lists.
Like how many? How many firearms does Mr. Natuliev have on the file here?
One. I have one firearm, and as long as you don't buy more than one a month, then you don't really raise any flags.
Does that say he has a nuclear missile?
Just one.
Just one. It's only one fire, one shot. That's all you get.
Yeah, one shot. That's all it takes. So speaking of firearms, what about that executive officer of the before we get to Candace, of the Clinton airport?
Oh, the one that
I'm still trying to decide if that was a Clinton family hit,
died
or if that
unexpectedly.
It got shot by ATF
very unexpectedly
with a rifle to the head. Which is interesting how that works. I mean, clearly the guy was just facing away from his door when he got shot. That must have been it. Getting shot in the back of the head with a rifle tends to kill people.
And their official story is what?
They had a search warrant to show up and to check on legality of his firearms dealings. So they showed up at 4 a.m. with a no-knock warrant, busted through the door without ringing the doorbell.
I thought they wouldn't do that anymore.
Oh, yeah. If they want to take somebody out, they do. And then this guy, I mean, we know he's a gun guy, right? Because he's bought guns because they're there. So he hears his door being busted through. What does he do? He reaches for his gun on the nightstand and goes to investigate carefully on what's going on. Then he sees two guys with guns pointed at him, and he shoots, and then turns around to go run away, and then gets shot in the head with a rifle and ends up in the hospital and dies. Nothing to see here.
Hey, it's Arkansas, baby.
It's Arkansas. So my question is, was this a Clinton hit, and is there a connection, or is this purely the new ATF, just like the old ATF, with their tactics of shoot first, ask questions later?
He was an executive at the Bill and Hillary Clinton airport.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean he had any connection to Bill and Hillary Clinton, of course, or does it?
I don't know, man. Does it?
He was dealing in guns allegedly.
Yeah, he went to a gun show.
Which you're doing too, so let's see. When Gene winds up dead, you need a new co-host.
Yes, I have no interest in suicide. I'll say it publicly right now. Zero suicide interest.
The concept of the no-knock warrant at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't understand it unless you are going after somebody that is suspected of murdering people. That
it's usually not even murder. It really kind of came to prominence during the war on drugs.
Oh yeah,
this idea that they may have evidence that they will destroy if you don't surprise them. Because for anything that, if there's no evidence to be gathered when you go there, you're just there to arrest somebody. There's zero reason to do it uncivilly, unless you want to be a dick.
Well, they do.
They do. Because, look, you can still surround the property and make sure the person doesn't run away at noon. It doesn't have to be at 4 a.m. So the only reason they tended to, they started doing these no knocks at 4 a.m. Is because they wanted to ensure that the person was somewhat confused from just being woken up, and he immediately wasn't thinking of getting rid of evidence.
And because if you're going for somebody that you think has firearms in their possession.
Mm-hmm.
Really hard to flush those.
Not what they were thinking. They weren't even thinking about firearms, right? The allegation and the reason they're there in the first place is because he was acting allegedly as a dealer of firearms by having gone to a gun show.
So he sold numerous firearms without a license.
Their allegation is he's buying firearms not for personal use, but for resale without a license.
It also seems that some of the guns he sold were used in crime. So here's a really bad idea. If you sell a gun, to not let somebody know that you sold that gun. It's kind of like selling a car. You would think you'd want somebody to know when that car goes through the front of a bank.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I sold this to this guy 6 months ago.
Here's a crazy thing that most people may not know is people will pay a premium to get something undocumented.
Oh, yeah. But the reality is this guy was already documented with the gun. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends what he's getting, because all he could be like, I don't know, I sold it to a guy with a long beard. That's all I know.
Exactly. And there's no requirement for him to document anything, and there's no requirement for him as a private individual to do any kind of background on the person. Now, most people won't sell guns to somebody that they don't like the smell of. Like if somebody looks a little shady, smells a little weird.
And it seems that his business it wasn't like he was a private collector who decided to sell a gun. It does appear that he was purchasing guns to turn them around and make money by selling them to people who didn't want to get them.
That's totally not the case. That's totally not what he was doing. That's what their case alleges, which is a bullshit case. And that's why I'm not sure yet whether this was a Bill and Hillary related issue or not. Look, this guy is living in a 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house.
Not bad.
He's got nice cars. He's got lots of money in the bank. His job is as an executive officer of an airport. He's bringing in probably $350,000-$400,000 a year. He doesn't need to go out and sell guns to drug dealers.
No. It said he sold 3 guns to an undercover ATF agent at a show.
Uh-huh. And that could have happened. But again, if you're a gun hobbyist and you have over 100 guns in your house.
I mean, who would have that many guns, Gene?
Selling 2 or 3 guns is not that big a deal. Or even 5 guns, frankly. I've got guns I've never shot. And, I don't know. Maybe I'll like them, maybe I won't. And if I shoot it and I don't like it, what am I going to do? I'm going to sell it.
According to the feds, he purchased the firearms legally and checked a box on the purchase forms that indicated the firearms were for him. However, according to Fox News, he allegedly resold the weapons at gun shows where he acted as a vendor. Now, how are you? I guess that would be the other question then. What makes a vendor and what makes a private seller?
I know exactly what it is. And it is when you go to a gun show and you're there predominantly to buy and you're just walking around, you buy your ticket to go to the gun show. If you have a firearm or several that you want to get rid of, then the show won't let you sell them unless you buy a table.
Got it.
So you have to pay them. So, they're like, there's a cost to sell guns. You have to have a table. But apparently, according to ATF, if you get a table, you're clearly a firearms dealer. You're not just an individual that paid the table to sell the guns because the gun show doesn't let you sell guns unless you get a table.
Got it. So I've been to a lot of sports card shows in my day. No, sports card.
Yeah, same kind of deal. Is every person that has a booth at a sports card show a professional trader and dealer of cards?
No, because I've done a couple of those myself when we just wanted to get rid of stuff.
Sounds to me like you're going to get a visit from the Department of Card Protection Services of the American government.
Probably.
Because that's basically what you're describing is what the guy did. It is a completely trumped up bullshit thing. And just because somebody bought 3 guns, and here's the other thing. I wouldn't sell somebody 3 guns if I had 3 guns to sell because it's awfully suspicious that one person would want to buy 3 different guns from you at the same time.
It's about what it sounded like. They may have been 3 of the same gun, which is even
fine, 3 of the whatever it is. It's suspicious. Okay?
I like those 9 millimeters you got there. Come on, give me 3.
Nobody should be selling 3 guns to another person who they don't know at the same time. When I've sold guns in the past, and I've sold a few over my lifetime, because you're allowed to as an American sell guns, they've all been to different people, and I've always shipped them to an FFL, like an actual licensed dealer. And if somebody wanted, well, can I just come and pick it up? Like, no, you can't, because I want the record of the sale. And I want you to have to go through and do a form. Now, maybe I didn't get as much money as I could have by doing that because, like I said, people are more willing to pay more for anonymity. But there's nothing inherently illegal about somebody selling a firearm or several. I think had this gone to trial, the guy would have gotten off because he probably could show through his records or lack thereof that the amount of guns that he has sold is reasonable compared to the amount of guns that he has and hasn't sold. Like, for somebody to be a dealer, in my opinion, maybe people disagree on this, but if you want to be called a legitimate dealer, you have to have sold more than you have yourself of that product. Like, if you're selling cars, right? Let's use cars as an example. Then I don't think I would call you a car dealer if you own 5 cars today and you've sold 3 cars in the last year. Like, you're not a fucking dealer. You're a car collector. You go through cars. You buy ones you like. You fix them up a little bit, and maybe you sell them.
Well, if you're buying 3 a month that you never drive, that you just turn around and resell, then maybe.
Who says they've never been shot?
I didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't say that.
I'm assuming this is a case of he thought he was being robbed or something because I'm guessing he's the one that opened fire. Is that the story here?
Well, that's the obvious thing. I mean, if you get woken up in your own house by the sound of something smashing into your front door, like a car or a battering ram. But whatever it is, your front door, it's a loud ass sound. It probably hasn't happened to you in real life, but you've probably seen it in movies. It's going to startle the hell out of you. And your first thought is going to be, I'm getting not just robbed, I've got a home invasion here. Somebody wants to kidnap me and my kids and my wife.
Now, does he have kids and a wife? How many people were in the home? Do we have a story on this?
The wife was in the house, and I think he said his older brother was in the house too. I haven't heard anything about kids, but he's in his 40s. But either way, I mean, it's not like, oh, well, you can kill the guy if he doesn't have kids. What's the big deal? But if somebody breaks into your house and your first thought isn't that you've got a home invasion, you're being robbed, and you want to grab your gun, then frankly, you deserve what happens to you, because by the time somebody has the cojones to break into your house, they clearly have the cojones to kill you.
Oh yeah. The amount of time,
and that was demonstrated by the ATF. The ATF did both.
You can only assume how far his bedroom was from the breach point. You can only guess what, I'm assuming most people have some kind of an alarm system, so that's maybe going off. You've got, again, if you've got kids or a wife in the house, you're most likely you're grabbing a weapon and going to see.
Here's what's going to happen out of this whole thing is the government's going to keep calling him an illegal arms dealer, and there's going to be a wrongful death lawsuit against the ATF. And probably 3 to 4 years from now, because these things always take a long time, his family's going to get like a $5 million to $10 million judgment against the ATF.
And you'll probably never see that anywhere.
No, you will not hear about it unless you're actually following, their own posts on social media or something. Because most of these things it takes too long for people to give a shit. But all these things, from goddamn, my memory is going back from Waco to
what was the other one? Yeah.
Yeah. The something Ridge, the
Ruby Ridge.
Yeah, Ruby Ridge. I'm blanking out there. Yeah. All these guys ended up in lawsuits and won the lawsuits, all of them, because what the government was doing was illegal.
That's the way it works a lot.
Yeah, and this is why here's the problem is that you can win in court and lose your life.
Well, this again is the current state of our federal government seems to be very against the constitutional rights that we have.
They're against literally people in the country that they've looked at the people that didn't vote for Biden and then call them everything from traitors to Nazis to, vermin to whatever. They don't see the people that didn't vote for Biden as being worthy of being people. Like they don't see them as human. They're subhuman.
And they're looking for the ways to take them down.
Yeah. And if that means they have to replace all the people that didn't vote for Biden with new people coming from other countries to vote for Biden, then that's literally what they're going to do.
And it's all what they claim the other side is doing. That's the beauty of it.
Well, and that's almost like a cliche at this point. The idea that why is it that almost all propaganda is making the other side look guilty of what the side doing the propaganda is doing?
It's like they can't write a new script. They're like, well,
I know exactly.
Oh, what should we say they're doing? Oh, this thing here that we're doing. That would be great.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's accuse them of what we're actually doing. It's exactly right. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's one of those things where there's an argument to be made that if you just want a nice, peaceful life, just don't do anything.
Well, right.
Don't pay attention to anything. Don't do anything. Just be a cog in the wheel and then retire and die. Because that's what the government's looking for. That's what their ideal citizen / serf is really like. Is somebody doesn't stick themselves out from the crowd.
Well, yeah, they don't want you to make any waves.
No.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
With all these new IRS agents, I mean, you know what they're looking for with the...
Oh, you're going to start getting no-knock IRS and people coming into your house.
Well, for people that are selling crap on eBay, you're going to get this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, you're not paying enough. You're not paying your taxes.
Yeah, we'll take your house.
Uh-huh.
You can go live in your car and we'll take your house.
So we can give it to a migrant family who just walked into the country 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, and this sounds very ridiculous and dystopian, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mexico starts bitching in the next few years, probably next 3-4 years, about American migrants coming into Mexico and taking all the low-paying jobs.
They're coming over the border. You got to build a wall.
Because I think it's going to get progressively more difficult to live in the United States if you're not a minority.
Well, because of these things, yeah.
Because you're the one that's going to be the default target for everything. This guy wasn't some black dude living in the hood that got busted by the ATF and then accidentally shot. No, this is a rich white executive guy that just got executed by the U.S. government.
Well, because they can't go after the people that have more melatonin because that's not woke. You're only going after the white guys now.
Yeah.
The other criminals, you're like, just white guys. White guys, we need to check the box white guy a few extra times so we could be fair.
Well, and have you seen the examples of the there's been a bunch of them floating on X of people's arraignment papers and you see a photo of somebody who's a really dark-skinned black person, and then in the race box, it's checked white.
I have not seen that.
Apparently, the orders have gone down that says we need to not show that the majority of crimes are being committed by non-whites. So you have to put as many whites in for race as you do of any other race.
Yeah, we need to get the percentages what we want them to be.
Yeah, because that's what equity is all about. It's about the perceived percentages and not about reality.
Well, that's it. They look at the United States and say, the amount of black people in the United States, 15% or so. It's a generalization, but about 15%. Wow. In prisons, that's like 65, 70%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're obviously racist because we
need way more white people in prisons.
Right. That's the answer. The answer rather than, well, let's just look at the demographics of the people who are committing the crimes. No, that's not good. We need to fix it.
No, because their arguments that they take this as a priori as something that just is that every breakdown of people commits crimes in exactly the same percentages. All white people and all black people, they all commit the same amount of crimes. All people that are gender dysphoric and people that are not gender dysphoric, they all commit the same amount of crimes in their groups. They have this completely fake magical view that people commit crimes randomly, and that randomness is completely evenly spread across all groups, rather than looking at, well, what types of events drive people to commit crimes? Are those events more prevalent in one area or another? Are they more prevalent with one group or another? Are people that are on medication for psychiatric conditions more likely or less likely to commit crimes? They want to ignore all that and just say, nope, there's no difference.
Right.
Somebody that has to take drugs to keep them from being a complete sociopath and, killing their neighbor, if they have to take drugs as antidepressants to keep from doing that, they have no more or less chance of doing illegal acts than somebody who doesn't take drugs and is living in a nice picket white fence suburb. Like, that's asinine. That is a ridiculous approach. You're literally being blinded by your desire. And that's why I think accurately a lot of people see the wokeism as a religion and not as a political thing. It's blind faith, man. It is a blind faith to something that is not reality. Well, this is no different than any other religion.
And I think most people that are on the medications, the happy pills, it is intentionally trying to break you from reality. Not saying some people don't need it, but this is numbing you to the reality around you. And then you wonder why so many of the people that then go on mass shootings are tracked back down to they have been taking one of those medications. Story coming out of Moscow right now.
Yeah.
Terror attack.
Yeah, in the theater.
40 people killed, at least 100 injured. Somebody came in, they start firing, throwing grenades, whatever it was. This is rare for Russia. I mean, this is every day in Chicago, but
it is rare, and I think it's going to become more common, unfortunately. So they're arresting these people. They found there's been a number of people that worked at the theater that were sympathizers with Ukraine.
So that's what this is all going to come down to.
Yep.
This is just another attack. And then kind of gives some credence, I think, to Vlad's side, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know about credence, but it's definitely as the Ukrainian side gets more desperate, they're starting to resort to terrorism, which is expected. This is a normal thing that I think everybody was aware is likely to happen. And even after the conclusion of the war and the peace accords are signed and everything, there will probably be terrorist acts in the name of Ukraine in Russia and other countries happening for many years to come.
Well, we're hearing that now. I mean, some people actually want the winding down of this. So, I mean, Ukraine, I guess, is realizing if this is coming to a close soon, they're not winning this.
Well, they've realized they've stopped being able to stand their ground when the U.S. stopped authorizing payments for their military, because the entirety of Ukrainian military is paid for by the U.S. government.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
I mean, we're not technically sending troops, although there's a fairly high rate of American volunteers that are in Ukraine right now, British and Americans, that are getting paid, and they're getting paid from the tax money of U.S. taxpayers, both British and American. So essentially, we're funding the Ukrainian payments to mercenaries, of which our country is sending plenty. But we're not technically boots on the ground and fighting Russia.
It's that thin line between the two.
It's a very, very thin line. I mean, this would be the same kind of thinness of a line as like all but two of the hijackers in 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia was never at all ever charged with any kind of crimes.
No, they had nothing to do with it. Their money.
Nothing at all to do with it. Nope. So, yeah, I mean, it's bound to wind down because the interest is gone. Everybody's looking at, well, shit, now we're going to have to send boots on the ground to Gaza.
Right. Well, we're
going to need American peacekeepers in Gaza to keep the Israelis from leveling the place.
It seems like as long as there's only one thing to worry about, people will stick with you for a long time. But the minute that shiny object, in this case, Gaza, Israel, then it's, Ukraine, screw them. That's last week's thing. We're on to this now.
Well, it's actually a miracle Ukraine lasts as long as it did, because it should have puttered out a lot.
Well, they had the power of the mainstream media behind them. This was the Biden
there's nothing new. They kept repeating the same lines over and over and over. Ukraine's on the brink of winning. Ukraine's on the brink of winning. How many years can Ukraine keep winning and losing its entire population?
Well, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump both had the walls are closing in. The end is near, and neither one has had their final chapters written.
Well, and Putin recently got reelected for his final term.
In that fair election they have going in Russia, right?
More fair than here.
That's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably true.
The support that Putin has right now, I mean, it's true of most wartime presidents, is very strong. He has more support this time around than he did last time around. There are more people that have come to see the position that he's expressed multiple times now for the last 5-6 years, which is NATO keeps advancing on Russia with the ultimate goal of breaking up Russia.
And that seems to be true.
And over the last few years, more and more politicians have been willing to voice that on the West side and say, well, yeah, that's exactly what we want. We want to break up Russia into little small chunks that possess zero danger to NATO and the United States.
So they can then run right over those places and be like, hey, we're in charge.
Well, a lot of people really liked investing and getting shit from Russia super cheap immediately after the collapse of the Soviet Union. They have very fond and fairly recent memories of how good it was to be able to get stuff for 5 cents on the dollar. Russia was literally chopping up its military and selling it off as titanium scrap. Stuff that costs millions of dollars to build was being sold for $10,000.
Is that where you got your nuke?
Yeah.
Good deal.
So there's a lot of people made a lot of money. A lot of Russians made a lot of money, and a lot of non-Russians made a lot of money during those days. It was for the average Russian, it was not a good time. It was a pillaging of Russia. It was something similar to what Germany was doing during World War II. As they were conquering territory, they were taking all the works of art, all the things that have accumulated. They were stripping gold from church steeples. They were melting Russian Orthodox statues and recycling them to make swastikas. These are all things that actually happened less than 100 years ago. And so I think right now with what's going on in Ukraine and the way that the Western politicians have been acting, it has rekindled a lot of that sort of nationalism in Russia that really, for the most part, kind of toned down over the last 20 years. So thanks to the United States imposing incredible sanctions, Russia was forced to find alternative means of production and acquisition of goods, which they did. And if you watch any of the numerous videos of Russian grocery stores, I dare say they look better than the local grocery stores we have here.
Oh, yeah. The shelves are half empty and the prices are up. The latest number I saw since Biden took office, 23% up groceries. I mean, some more than others.
Yeah.
But this is... I
routinely, for literally my entire life, when I did shopping for one, just for me, so like pre-marriage and post-divorce, my store shopping was usually under $100 because I don't buy anything too exotic. And
that's because you're going out 6 nights a week.
I am, but still, that was consistent. Right now, I'm probably averaging $180 to $200 every time I do grocery shopping.
Yeah, get nothing.
And it's not like I'm shopping for more than one person.
No, everything has gone up.
And now, the one thing I will say that maybe contrary to a lot of other people's opinions on is shrinkflation, where the size of products is shrinking, even though the price is staying.
Joey was very worried about that.
Yeah. I actually think that's a good thing because honestly, everything is just too goddamn big in the United States. Like if you ever go to Europe or Asia, the size of meals, the size of snacks, the size of all these things we consume is quite a bit smaller. So I'm okay with product shrinking. Now it'd be good if the price went down as well. Right. But even if it doesn't, I think that if like instead of a 14-inch pizza being the normal size pizza, if that becomes the large pizza and the 12 or 10-inch becomes the normal size, I'm okay with that too. Because honestly, it's things are too big here. Look at the percentage of American population that is either clinically obese or on the edge of obesity. And I'm saying that as a fat dude.
You're right.
It's crazy. It's like 62%. It's like the vast majority of Americans eat too many calories.
Yeah, because
and don't take enough Ozempic.
Fits all thing, especially going out. I mean, when you're at home, you can adjust how much you're making of something. But it was always amazing
it's one
to
thing
me
if you're
when you go out, being a guy that's 6'6" and not skinny. I'm getting the same size portion that my wife, who's 5'7", is getting. Or it's like it's very strange because it's like it's more than enough for me. So I know it's like 5 times what somebody that's a lot smaller should.
You let her eat that much? That's amazing.
It's like when you go out to dinner, there's something wrong if you go to a place and you're always taking home half of it. Like, oh, I can't eat that.
Right. Exactly. So it's always funny when people make fun of like French high-end restaurants. Like, the plate was about a foot wide and there was 1 teaspoon of food on there. Yeah, maybe that's not a bad thing.
Would let me give you a small little cracker with some avocado foam on it? Yes.
Yeah, avocado foam is really good, man.
Yeah, I mean, all foam is good.
I've been making avocado stuff every other day here lately.
I do love me some avocado. It's great on turkey sandwiches. It's great in an omelet.
It's great by itself.
Yeah, this is true. I rarely do that.
Bacon bits.
Ooh, avocado. That sounds perfect.
Basically, just make mash up the avocado into like a, what do you call it?
Bowl?
I'm thinking quesadilla, but it's not a quesadilla. No, it's guacamole. Mash it up into guacamole, but instead of adding like a whole bunch of spices and onions, add bacon bits instead.
You get a little fat in there.
And I mean like actual ones you've made by making bacon and then chopping them up. Not the fake Bacos, yes.
They're not. There's no bacon that was.
You know what Bacos is? There's zero bacon. It's bacon flavored grape nut cereal. That's all it is.
When you put it that way, it's disgusting.
That's what Bacos are. Yeah, it's grape nut cereal that's bacon flavored.
I used to love the days when you could go to a good buffet and create a salad, which everybody's always like, oh, I'm on a diet. I'm just eating salad. I could create a salad that will be.
I could do a 3,000 calorie salad.
Easily. Like this would be way worse than a burger by the time I'm done with it.
Dude, the salad bar at, what's the place I mentioned earlier? God, my memory is just
Fogo de Chao?
Yeah, Fogo de Chao. If you've ever been to the salad bar, anybody knows what I'm talking about that's been to it, is better than damn near every other salad bar of any restaurant in the city.
Woo!
It's so funny because you know why. You understand why it's so good. Is because the more you eat of non-meat, the cheaper the meal is for them to make.
Right.
And so the expensive part is the meat. So it's like, I'll have like 7 pieces of filet mignon, please. Thank you very much. The cheap part is the really, really tasty, but cheap to make salads.
Yeah. Would you like a big salad? Oh, yes, you would.
Yeah. Or even like the prosciutto ham they have there and stuff that's fresh, scraped. Like it seems like it's expensive and fancy, but compared to a steak per pound, it's actually very cheap. So
like, we should start with a salad.
Yeah, well, that's what most people do. And when I go there, I grab literally 1 slice of prosciutto, 2 pieces of lox, put a little crepes on there because I got to eat that shit because I'm required to by law. And otherwise I lose my Jew card.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that.
No, wouldn't want that. And then I just take like one of the smallest pieces of thing you can take for the rest, like the cheeses and everything else. And so my initial plate from the salad bar is maybe like 5 ounces of food. I can try all that stuff. I get a little bit of a taste of it, but it's totally a sampler plate. And then I get rid of that and swap over to the meats.
That's where the real money is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can make a delicious, but this is the concept that people still have that eating a salad is healthy. It's like, no, eating a salad is only healthy until you put toppings and dressing on it.
Oh, yeah. And man, between blue cheese and Thousand Island, you can
mix those too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. So the other day, 2 days ago, I made boiled eggs, and then I used those and kind of crumpled them up and stuff. I guess in a way made a salad out of them, but not really, but sort of kind of. And then I put Thousand Island dressing into it to clump them all together.
It sounds like egg
bacon
salad.
Bits.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like egg salad with bacon. And it was like, holy shit, this is good. Now, it's not technically egg salad because I didn't use mayonnaise.
Is that you have to have the binder?
Yeah, well, my binder, like I said, was Thousand Island dressing.
That's kind of, I think that's kind of like an alternate.
Yeah.
Egg salad.
But it was very good. It's amazing how tasty eggs are. And I do them fairly healthy in that I only use half the yolks. So when I make hard-boiled eggs, after I peel and stuff,
what are you doing with the yolks?
I throw away half the yolks.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
It is the good stuff, but there's too much good stuff. So I use 1 yolk for every 2 egg whites when I do that. It's easy to do it with hard-boiled because they just pop right out.
Right.
It's harder to do that with if you're making like an omelet because you have to do this whole little magic balancing act of trying to separate using
the shell
yolk
as a cheek
pouch
separator
before it like pops.
And then gets into
I guess
the
you
rest.
could use a cheese grater. Yeah. So for those, I try to, but I don't always succeed. So I probably get like 2/3 of the yolks when I make an omelet, but I get half the yolks when I make hard boiled.
I do love me a good deviled egg.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you need extra yolks right there.
Yep. That's true.
Take the yolks out. You whip them up with some delightful, again, mayo and whatever spices you're putting in.
Yep.
Now I want an egg salad sandwich.
My mom used to make that. It used to be so good. Yeah, it's smells are probably the strongest memories, and tastes are not far behind because they're like all these memories existed in us before we even created language. We couldn't really communicate with each other than grunting, but we already could remember tastes and smells. So they're very powerful. And if you start describing something that you can visualize in your mind and that the taste of it just hits you. And then the cool thing is when that taste hits you, it brings back memories that you hadn't thought about for sometimes many years, maybe even decades, of events that coincided with those tastes being in your mouth. And, my mom died a few years ago, and even though she didn't die of COVID, she was, of course, marked as COVID death, typical. But remembering when she made deviled eggs, both from childhood and on to my adulthood, they're all very pleasant memories, and just kind of, just really made me remember those moments and how much I miss her being around and stuff.
Now, can you recreate the deviled eggs, or?
I've done that. My recipe is I think she used a lot more mayo because mine is a lot drier.
Mayo is love. I mean, it's also a heart attack on a plate, but it's love.
I know. It's like, Mom, come on. What are you trying to kill me?
Making it good. It's the butter that makes it taste so good.
Here's, what her recipe was, and it's something if people like deviled eggs, try this variant. She put mushrooms in them. So it's your standard deviled egg recipe, but take mushrooms, finely chop them so that each individual piece of mushroom is no more than about, let's say a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. So really finely chopped, kind of like the size of bacon bits, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe even
meld that right in.
Just a little bit bigger, but not much bigger than the size of a bacon bit. And then take those mushrooms and then fold them into the yolk mix before putting it back into the egg whites. And the mushrooms really add a very interesting texture because, normal deviled eggs and egg salad is fairly mono textural.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's like whipping it. So you may as well take the stuff and put it in a blender.
Soft.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But when you have small little bits of mushrooms in there, it adds a whole second texture to them when you're chewing them in your mouth. That is very nice. And the flavor works quite well because mushrooms can go with anything. They'll take on the flavor of anything else you have next to them. So, that was kind of her standard recipe, is to do the deviled eggs with mush. And I remember as a kid being surprised when I tried it at other people's homes. I was like, well, you're doing it wrong. You don't have mushrooms there.
Right. Where are the mushrooms? They're like, what the hell are you talking about?
I didn't realize that, that's just the way my mom does it, not everybody else.
Soon we'll have thousands of cicadas we could chop up and put in there.
They're saying that. So I'm looking forward to the eclipse. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I hear you're bringing the guns with you when you go down and visit Adam Curry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got to do that. Bring the guns, bring the night vision, the thermals, everything.
She said that's what she's got Gene for. Take care of all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People think you're a gun dealer now.
Well, that's mostly because thanks to you.
Whoa.
I'm going to point the finger squarely at you with all your questions about gun purchases and gun sales.
I don't even remember the last time the cicadas came out.
Uh-huh. It's been a while. Well, John Dorak, I think, is the cicada expert. I've never really bothered tracking them too much, but they come out. I think there's 3 types in the U.S. and they come out at different year intervals. Yeah. So that they don't all pop out at the same time.
And I think the last ones around here were like 17 years ago. And it's like, I don't even remember. I remember people talking about them, but I don't remember. You're hearing like apocalyptic stories like Your house will be covered
They're everywhere.
with them.
You're totally covered head to toe with those things.
Uh-huh.
I remember last time they popped out, I was working in Ohio, and probably 2008. So what is that, like 16 years ago? So they're about due.
Yeah, 15, right? 2008, 15 years, 16 years.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
I remember they were loud.
They were very loud. They're doing their little mating dance, and it's a base level loudness that is loud enough that it makes it hard to hear people when you're outdoors, because you just have this like shooshing sound that's just very loud and prevalent.
It's going to drive people nuts.
I didn't mind it so much. To me, it kind of sounded like waves breaking if you have your windows open and you're on a boat at night, or you have a house on the shore.
It all depends where you are.
Constant, but like nonstop. So it's like with the waves, it's kind of like whoosh and then nothing, and then another whoosh, and then like if you just take the whoosh part of it and you just constantly play that on repeat
and multiply.
That's what the cicadas sound like.
Overlay.
Yeah. Overlay and repeat. And
for people that like it, they'll have their windows open. They'll be sleeping well.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'll have the windows
I don't mind the
shut.
critters. I think they're cool little bugs.
They're necessary. I mean, it's interesting. They were talking about that, how it is food for everything else, the birds and everything else that will eat bugs. They're like, all of a sudden, this is like a freaking buffet.
Yeah.
Because there's food everywhere now. Which also means the birds will be crapping all over your car.
Oh, exactly. The birds will be crapping nonstop as well.
It's there. All the animals going into like just overdrive eating.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see. The actual eclipse is only supposed to last, I think, 14 minutes.
Well, that's when you want to boost
something like that.
All of my shows. It's my birthday, April 8th. So you want to remember to share the birthday love, April 8th. Yeah. Hey, for my birthday,
are you driving down for the eclipse at all or not?
Yeah, I thought I was coming down to your house, but you're not.
Oh, okay. Well, my house, I've got another buddy that's staying at my house because he's coming down to watch it, and I'm going to be staying at Adam's house. So,
unless I can get Adam to revoke your invite and
not happening.
Whatever couch he's got there. I mean, I have good wine I can bring.
Mm-hmm.
What are you bringing besides weapons? I mean, I guess that may be enough. Night vision.
I'm bringing
glasses.
the most important thing. Yeah, exactly. The weapons.
Just in case everything goes bad and the whole grid goes down.
The grid will go down because we won't have solar power in the middle of the day.
Oh, for 14 minutes, the world will be plunged into darkness.
Because Texas has the largest solar powered array grid in the country. In the world, in fact. I think we're the largest in the world now.
And how much as good is that doing for you? It didn't seem like it was.
Oh, it's shit, but I think it provides like 12% of the power in Texas, something like that.
Interesting. All of a sudden, I could just feel a congestion coming up. I hope I'm not getting a cold or something now.
Why?
Since the show started, all of a sudden, I am just congested. It's weird.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's hard to tell because these pipes, they're silky. But
you may want to turn the temperature up at your house.
You mean to get it warmer?
Yeah.
But it's like 40 degrees out. It's nice and cool in here.
Exactly.
I like it cold. I just get I'll have some spicy food.
I know you like it cold, but the problem is so do the viruses.
True. What I need is
that's the thing. This is why saunas were invented. The sauna is the best way to kill viruses when you're living in, Siberia.
So you go in, you sweat it out.
Finland or Sweden or Norway. It's not that you sweat it out. It's that you bring your external body temperature.
You bring your core
up so high. Well, you hopefully not too high for the core, but it doesn't matter. Here's the beauty of it is that the parts that the viruses typically have the easiest time attaching to.
Yeah.
Like where they get to first is your sinuses and your lungs. And both your sinuses and your lungs are breathing air that is much warmer than your core temperature.
True.
So it's not about raising the core as much as it is about having superheated air coming into your nose and lungs.
Getting a good flush.
That will kill the viruses. Yeah. I remember back when I was younger, we used to chase the Americans out of the saunas because we would crank them to 175 degrees.
Dirty, filthy Americans.
And no Americans can stand to be in a 175 degree sauna.
Yeah, not for long. I'd be like, no.
Yeah, long enough for them to just get up and leave.
Right. And hopefully not pass out on their way out.
Yeah, because, I grew up in saunas. So it's like standard training. And when your sauna is powered by coal, it's not like you got a thermostat that you can crank down if it gets too hot.
You can't just turn it off.
No, it's you have to kind of go by ear or by eyeball when you're planning on how much you want it to heat up.
Hey, Sergey passed
and
out.
Then, it happens. It could totally happen. It's not a big deal though.
Somebody drag him out on his head.
That always happens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you drink, you don't want to drink in sauna. No,
you never want to drink in the sauna. No, but you need to have certainly not be dehydrated before you go in there.
Well, yeah, that would be. You want to stay hydrated when you bring your body temperature.
You're gonna. So the I'd say that's the primary benefit is breathing in superheated air. The secondary benefit is in order for your body core to stay within range, it's going to open up the floodgates of all your sweat glands and you're going to be sweating like crazy. And that is a secondary benefit that kind of flushes out all your sweat glands. And that's usually where bacteria enters is through your sweat glands because it's literally a giant opening in your skin if you're a tiny little critter, if you're a little bacteria. It's the easiest way to get in the body is through sweat glands. That's why you see a lot of bacterial infections happening in sweat glands. Not medical advice. We don't talk about any medical shit on this show.
Never. It's amazing the medical stuff you can pick up on Unrelenting. The foodie information you can pick up. Taylor Swift information. You can now click that off your bingo card. You didn't think we were going to get through a whole episode without saying it.
What's the latest with Miss Swift there?
Just new album coming out. No, not as far as I know.
She break up with that sports ball guy?
No, not yet. Soon, though, I'm guessing there'll be a big conspiracy.
You think she's still working on her big next album about her big breakup with the big sports ball guy?
Yeah, well, if she's smart, she'll be like Willie Nelson, which is by the time you hit 91 years old, you have like 500 studio albums that you've released.
Although I think she's smarter than Willie Nelson and getting paid.
Well, this is true. Willie is not doing it for the big bucks anymore. I'm sure he's living comfortably. He's eating. He has a roof over his head.
That guy doesn't even have the money to replace a guitar, man.
It's the most famous guitar. I can't, and I don't want to say it that way because I want Willie to live till he's 150. But if that guitar, if the family after Willie's passing decides to sell that, I can't even guess what kind of an amount.
You think they should bury it with Willie?
Probably, or put it in the Country Music Hall of Fame and let everybody. Yeah.
But I don't know. That seemed like I think it's cooler if they bury it with Willie than if they put it in the Country Music Hall of Fame because it's literally the guitar that has been synonymous with him and has made all his music for his entire existence.
Yeah, the one I think he has another album that has come out since, but one of his last few albums was a bluegrass record where that type of guitar just doesn't work on bluegrass.
Right.
And it was one of the first that Willie played a different guitar on, but he is so attached to Trigger, they said, while he was recording the bluegrass album, playing other instruments.
Trigger was in the room.
Trigger was in the room.
That's nice.
Like, that's how close those two, entities are.
Yeah.
It's all about when you see it, you know it.
Yeah. It's wild.
$1 million at least if that guitar were to hit the market.
Oh, way more than that. I think it'd be 10 million.
It could be. It could be more than 10 at this point.
I think there would be multiple people that would gladly pay $1 million for his guitar.
Yeah, especially some of these people that are big country stars. got a lot of money.
Like Elon Musk would probably buy it for $1 million without even thinking.
Elon's like, that's right. I mean, you and I were hitting a store and we're at a checkout and we're like, a bag of chips. Cool.
Yeah.
Elon's like $10 million.
God damn it. Turn your cameras off, man. I don't need you looking at what I'm buying.
We got to find out. We have to get all that demographic information so we can base the advertising that goes right into your ear holes.
Exactly.
For the products that you don't even know you've been advertised to or have been advertised to
dinged. You. Are we done yet? I can't tell you.
What is something ding?
Yeah, something dinged, and I just noticed the time, so it must have been a time-related ding.
What's the time? What's the difference between a ding and a time-related ding? I mean, we can. We keep talking if you want, but I don't know. I figured you set an alarm or something that says, quit talking to Gene at this time or something. No, I didn't. Well, somebody else probably did, but I didn't.
Could have been somebody like DM'd me and said, are you guys done yet?
Like, why are you still talking? This is over 2 hours now.
Didn't you guys start at 10 a.m.? What the hell? It's already 4 o'clock. Well, how long is your show today? What? This is like one of those old Sir Gene Speaks interviews.
We're doing an old fashioned show, but this is what happens when you get, or is there a limit on X? How long can you go live?
24 hours.
You could just keep going.
Yeah.
And going and going and
yeah,
going.
It may even be 48, but it's at least 24. I remember Elon talking about that.
He's like, we will not stop you. We will let you host, which is interesting. This is the ultimate. This reminds me back to the guy that started broadcasting his life, the first guy. What was his name? Jim or somebody live. Remember, he was like the first guy.
Yeah. I know who you talked about. It was the start of Twitch, in fact. Justin TV.
Yes. That's just kind of like that where we just leave it on all the time.
Yep.
Follow you through your day.
Yeah. Well, Justin TV became Twitch.
I did not know that, but I've never really watched Twitch.
Direct historical line there. It started as a reality TV show, and then it kind of morphed and pivoted into gaming. And then, I mean, realistically, what's more on Twitch than anything else right now is girls doing things in front of a camera in order to get you to then see them doing other things on OnlyFans.
Welcome to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That is also what Instagram is, what TikTok is. They're all girls in front of a camera trying to get your money away from you somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet, Did You points out BB King's guitar, Lucille, another very famous guitar.
Yeah, that's true.
Mark Knopfler, the guitar that was played on Money for Nothing, I think it was, sold for $750,000 recently.
I'm telling you, like $1 million, you're crazy. It's at least 10 million for Trigger.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, it depends on if Willie outlives all of his fans. He may.
It's true too.
Yeah, it's like my dad thinks that Ted Williams stuff, the autograph, should be worth a ton of money, and it's like, no, he signed a lot, and his fans are dying off.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah,
supply and demand. It's crazy that a Taylor Swift autograph will sell for more than a Ted Williams autograph, but supply and demand.
Yeah, because Taylor Swift, doesn't autograph anything?
It's rare. I mean, she did a few, as you know, but especially during COVID, that was like, well, I can sit home and just sign a bunch of stuff and then sell it. There has not been anything signed since then. Since the one that I had you order the copies. I can't believe
it's actually her, though.
Allegedly, it is. I mean, it's enough to have the people who authenticate these things say it's her. That's all that really matters, whether it is or not.
What I've always told my clients is that manual labor, like autographing Christmas cards, is something that should always be delegated to your personal assistant.
Yes. Well, that's what Sinatra did. All those guys. That's secretary signed. Although now they have the technology. Bob Dylan fucked it up.
Replicate it.
Yeah, Bob Dylan fucked it up with his book that was allegedly personally autographed. And once everybody started getting their books, and it was, luckily for him, it was limited to 1,000, I think.
Oh, that's not that bad.
But once people got their books, they started, photographing and posting the signatures. There were a grand total of 7 different signatures.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was all auto penned. Yep. But the technology now, especially with the magic of AI,
No, you don't even need AI. There's a video of a YouTuber I watched that like makes interesting things. He's like an engineer type. And he wanted to make
could it
a
fake
signature.
right?
Yeah, a signature
For sending
replicator.
the thank you cards.
Exactly. A signature replicator for sending thank you cards for his Patreon or whatever that could pass a signature expert from the FBI.
Right, the forensic test. I saw that.
Yeah. And he's an interesting guy because he's kind of nerdy, glasses, skinny, but he comes up with these
wife.
crazy. His wife is awesome. I love his wife. His wife is like, it doesn't matter that the guy just did something for the first time in history and he spent 6 months doing it.
Like
his wife's going to come and point out the problem with it immediately.
Yeah. Can you sweep out the garage, please? Sweetie? But I created this.
Yeah. It's the fact that they haven't gotten divorced, I think is proof that God exists, because it's really amazing that I love their relationship. Well, frankly, it reminded me my relationship back when I was still married. Is because
days.
It was very much a who can outsmart ass the other into being a better smart ass kind of relationship.
Yes, and that is a valid relationship type.
Yeah, totally.
But that's all you need is something that can sign and have small variations. Don't do the Bob Dylan thing.
No.
Make sure you show it, feed it 10 real signatures and then let it make small variations based upon that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that, then nobody will ever know. I've railed about this before because I can't believe there are still companies in business like PSA, Beckett, that do autograph authentication who don't back it up at all, which means if you find out it's not real, they're not going to back it up. But they have no freaking clue if it's real or not. They're guessing along with everybody else.
Yeah, that's very true. And whenever I've autographed my books, I've always made it a point to never just sign one. I always write a message in there.
Well, that's just nicer.
Well, it made me nicer, but it makes literally every autographed book unique and individual. So there is no category of Gene autographed books.
You could just go through and put little codes in each one. You can put enough of them together, then we know the nuclear code, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's insane that people will, and for more popular people, like Michael Jordan and Taylor Swift, getting his signature authenticated costs more. And it's like really $50 to get the signature authenticated. $50. Like, what do you think the signatures are going for?
Yeah.
And that's
I think it's stupid.
Guarantee.
I think all of it is stupid. I've never understood the idea of paying more for something that's ruined by having writing on it.
Well, and once you can create
if I'm
the
buying
machine,
a book, I want a book without any autographs on it.
Well, once the machine is out there that I could replicate anybody's signature whatsoever, it makes every signature worth zero.
Which is what they should be worth, frankly. Yeah, I agree.
Because you can't guarantee that it's real.
Yeah, and that's why I think trying to do mass-produced items that are autographed is totally worthless and pointless. If you're going to do something that is creating a one-of-one that is unique, that has value. But if you're creating 10,000 and all of them are autographed, like the value should be zero.
Yes. Yeah, there was like Frank Turner, another singer-songwriter. For one of his latest releases, he used some kind of weird stencils, but he created 100 of the album jackets as individual pieces of art.
There you go.
That's a little more interesting.
Oh, like you could do that so easily with AI art now, where every podcast has a unique jacket, if you will.
Yeah, new artwork,
cover art
show,
but all based on the exact same, two fat guys sitting doing a podcast.
How many different iterations until they hit the same one twice?
They'll never hit the same one twice.
Is that the magic of it?
Yeah, it's got a randomizer in it.
CSB is a randomizer, I think.
No, CSB is the opposite of randomizer, man. He's the standardizer.
He is the delimiter. He gives you the same answers no matter what.
Did you call out his website when he sent you the money?
Yeah, you did. CSB.lol. And then he was talking about something else.
Yeah. But I think I screwed up the LOL.
If you follow him
CSB.lol
on X, he will answer your questions, CSB.
He will answer your questions, allegedly.
Or he'll actually just feed your questions into an AI.
And then copy and paste
right.
the answer.
So if you want to know what Grok would say to your question, ask CSB.
Dude, Grok sucks.
Yeah?
Grok is one of the dumbest AIs.
Which is why it's given free with your paid. Well, you have to go higher in the subscription on X.
Well, and I canceled my GPT Pro chat thing subscription because I wasn't using that.
Yeah, you have to be able to.
You still are paying for that one, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I still have it. Well, CSB paid for 6 months of that. So.
Oh, well, then you're set for 6 months. Good.
Yeah, I am good. And if you ask ChatGPT, when is this show over?